Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
What an unholy shambles. Not the latest review for House of Rugby, but the current situation dominating the Premiership rugby landscape. Hello, welcome to House of Rugby. My name is Alex Payne. It's a great pleasure to have back the Lord from
Hello.
Australia.
How are we?
All right, how are you?
It was very good.
Well, Rick was
Refreshed.
looking all right on the beach.
No, not really.
Did you
Well, no, it was all right, it's all right.
Where did you, was that Daily Mail?
Yeah, it was a few times actually, yeah.
Sneaky.
Not a bad time to be away. Quite a lot going on in the firm the last couple of weeks.
Let's not talk about
I like
that.
you were flat out beating your little one as well in the running race, like the competitive element.
Well, no, trying to make her more competitive is what I was trying to do.
Yeah, but by beating her soundly and almost like running her over, like knocking her over, going, woo, take that.
Putting her head in the water, drowning her.
Parenting
Highs. I saw you hanging out with a few of the leaguey boys down there. Billy Slater.
Yeah, Matty Johns.
Matty Johns.
Well,
He was very, very
This
funny.
is where me and Hass differ quite a lot. I was like, I said to both Billy and Matty, I was like, look, I just need to get some video footage for House of Rugby. I think it'd be great. Questions like comparing rugby union, rugby league. Actually, I just enjoyed having a beer with them and completely forgot, whereas Hass would have nosed them to an inch of their life. And got that footage.
Gone into post-production, got 100
Got
million
the
thousand
views, got the thing, taken us all global, and then had the beers and left, probably. But, you know, if you don't do it properly, then don't bother doing it.
Nice to have you back.
It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you?
I'm all right.
You're actually quite overexcited this week. What's been going on?
Well, I'm just not getting filled in. Like, I mean, I am getting filled in, but this is a break from the onslaught.
Filling in.
I had a bit of the flu as well, so I had a bit of a cold. Man flu. So I trained today, but trained lightly. And I said to the coaches, I said to them, look, I've got the flu and everything. They were like, fine. And I said, but I get this impression when they talk to me that they're a bit dead behind the eyes, that they don't really care. Like, I got choked out 3 times the other week by the guillotine choke, and I felt like something sticking in my throat every time I swallowed. Yeah. So I went up to him and went, coach, I've got something in my throat. He went, yeah, well, that'll happen. You know, if you get, as if to say, shut the fuck up and get on with it. Yeah. So there's not a lot of compassion. So I joked with one today. I went, yeah, we ran out of cotton wool a long time ago. But then they trained me today because I got a cold. They didn't want to like wreck me, obviously. So I went, oh, so there is a bit of cotton wool. They went, no, we just don't want to break what we've got. I walked off laughing. So I'm all right. It's quite nice to be here. We're just doing friendly things.
Wherever you go, abuse is not far behind.
It is very true.
I don't know why that is.
It's very true.
Just very quickly before we move on to Saracens, can we send Harry an e-hug? Is he all right? Have you been in touch?
Let's not talk about this.
We're not doing it at all.
No.
Have you sent a nice message to say, hope you're all right?
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, no.
It's a no-go?
No, because I don't know anything about it.
I just wondered if you said,
I don't know anything about it either.
Okay, good.
I mean, I don't know any more than you know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I just, was reaching out to,
Surely one of
a
your
friend of
if
your
he's
team.
happy-
One of your
Well.
cousins or relatives is probably in that circle, isn't he? The higher echelons you operate in.
In a world in which sympathy is in low supply.
No, I have been. I think it must be very traumatic, difficult. I've sent my regards. That's just the extent of it.
Good. On this week's show, you will not be that surprised to hear that we're going to talk about Saracens. We were actually going to have Alex Ryder on here in the studio. Reader.
Reader.
I keep saying that wrong. Alex Reader.
Yes.
I bumped into Kieran Mile this morning.
Did you?
Talking of your old teammates, yeah. Who I'd love to have on because he's doing a PhD in psychology.
He is. Very clever man.
That'd be very interesting indeed.
He used to on the way to games be doing like astrophysics sort of. What's that? Something dynamics, whatever.
I was gonna say, what did astrodynamics look like on the bus for you, Hass?
It was really making noise.
Space invaders. Space invaders.
No.
Can you teach me how to build a rocket, please?
Yeah, he's like, what
I go to
noise?
space?
It's like when Ricky Gervais, isn't it, goes when Da Vinci said, Da Vinci invented the helicopter. He didn't, because how would they say it flies? So anyway, he was doing maths, like advanced maths the whole time on there, and like physics and dynamics. So he's a very intelligent man. So I'm not
Did he
surprised.
ever ask you a question and say, could you solve this? And then
No.
you do the Joey Tribbiani maths where you go, I try and divide 255,000 by 63.
Yeah, to get the actor's face, yeah. No, I didn't do that. But I tell you what I'd like, though, for people watching, is that some of my teammates and people have been gifted things from universities like honorary doctorates, PhDs and
Never
stuff.
gonna
and
happen.
that.
Never
I
going
would
to
like
happen.
to endorse a university if someone would like to gift me, ideally a PhD, and I would insist people calling me doctor.
Greenwood's got one. He is
Greenwood's
Dr.
got
Greenwood.
Dawson got one from
Leonard must have a couple.
yeah. How are these people getting them? Then Lawrence got one.
Yeah, that's a joke.
I want some
Lennon
recognition.
and Delalia get one, then
That's what I mean. You should have one. You should have a doctorate. I love history. I was going to read history at university. You know, a doctor of history. I'll take that. Doctor memories.
Mate,
No,
you take whatever you
bullshit.
get.
Are they? Doctor past.
We were meant to have Wasp Batter Alex Reid on, but unfortunately, because of what's been going on this week, we're going to pause Alex. He's going to come back another time. That is going to be a really interesting show.
Very
actually.
interesting. Really intense. He was very much looking forward to it. Actually, messaged me about it, and the powers that be, fucked him off. Which is this bloke, 'cause he's got a bad knee, so he got himself all the way down here, and then he couldn't get home.
I will hope that he understands that we are currently dealing with the biggest story I think Club Rugby has ever seen.
Ever, for sure.
Where does it sit in British? Where does it sit in sporting scandals? Lance Armstrong, Ben Johnson. The baseball.
Well, Lance Armstrong is I would say, is probably.
Are we
far bigger.
talking?
No, we're not talking.
Well,
that,
someone did describe it, didn't they, as the financial doping of
That was Ugo on the 5 Live one.
sport, but
we don't mention.
I don't think it sits quite in that.
Is anyone that asked about it?
Is
it because I don't play anymore? I mean,
no, people are incensed.
no, I know
by it.
people are.
Where, how bothered are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Has?
Are the people most incensed by it? Are they incensed because they support a different team?
Or are they incensed because, and again, this is the point that Flats was making on his podcast, where there's an opportunity to get incensed, let's all get incensed.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
Everybody is incensed. Change my mind. This is just an opportunity for people to jump on that. Like, I don't understand the players. Like, it's a team sport, right? And I know they're saying they're adding more players to the pool, but I mean, like, how bent were they? Like, how much of a difference would it have made? That's what I don't get. I can't compute it.
No, but then the thing is the players are completely innocent within it. They have just been offered a job by a rugby club, but then obviously the rugby club is flouting the rules if you suddenly have 6 more players that you can rotate of a high class quality.
Well, of an international
Yeah.
British and Irish Lions.
Well, I was doing some maths on it.
Hello.
Joey.
260 million divided by 56.
Yeah. In terms of how many players would they, and what were they getting paid? I mean, how many players do you think at salaries get paid over 500 grand? Would you say?
Do you know this or not?
No.
Who
would you pick?
Well, I'd probably. Well, Itoje Farrell.
Do you know what the most depressing thing is? Is that I fucking want to get paid over 500 grand. I never got anywhere close to it.
Won a World Cup on 50 grand.
But I mean,
A year.
bullshit.
Mac and Billy.
So
Probably not far off.
I went through it. Do you reckon Goody's up there?
No.
I don't think 500,000.
No.
Billy?
Yes.
Daly?
Probably not far off.
Cruz?
No.
Not 5.
Jamie George?
No.
Liam Williams?
You got to.
Yeah, possibly all in.
But he is from Wales, so he goes a long way.
You're
doesn't it?
actually making it even worse.
Actually, maybe
Mako?
not. Mako, I reckon, would be
Marrow.
senior leader.
Mako will be on 501,000 and Billy will be on 500,000.
Marrow?
Yeah,
Faz?
yeah.
Then the other names I wrote down were Wiggy,
Not 500.
Yeah, but I don't think.
Spencer,
Not 500.
But I don't think.
Maitland,
Not the 500.
Skelton.
Probably a KFC membership.
So through that, then you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 3 million.
Yeah,
that
the
gives
cap
you-
is 7.
It gives you 4.2 million.
I just
Hang on.
can't ask
So you
one.
got
Between another 39
No,
players.
so they've got 41 senior
players.
members
Right.
and 19 academy, but a class of academy player, they can't get paid over 30 grand.
Right.
So 570 grand, I think, is the maximum that they'll be paying their academy,
Right.
because they're not academy players if
So
you
down
get
to
paid over that.
3.7 for 30. What would you
So
say?
you're over-
41.
So you're 120 grand a player.
35 players.
And there'll obviously be some people who don't play that often. So how far are they over the cap?
Well, this is the thing: is that all the smoke now is burning around the fact that they've taken relegation rather than released the details.
But I also think there's another
rather than
reason
letting
for doing
forensic
that.
accountants going in
Yeah,
there.
because
But then
But you're so that they are. I mean, they're so in so much trouble now. Why do you think the club have not released their numbers? We're going to find the numbers in.
I know why. I mean, I can tell you why they wouldn't, because if you go into that level of detail, and it's, you know, these. I mean, I know they said it was an oversight error. Like, what, one bloke ticked the wrong column? Did he? And accidentally? No, that's not what would happen. I know it's all conjecture, allegedly, but I think if you open it up, you're exposing all those players as well to looking into it and stuff. Because I don't know if it's just. I mean, look, I never knew about the salary cap.
What do we know? Have you spoken to Nigel? I know you've got a good relationship with him.
No, I haven't. I haven't spoken to him. I've asked, but obviously he hasn't come back to me as yet. But look, I think the thing is, as we said, the players are in no way to blame. They just get paid to turn up and do a job. They've obviously
absolutely no blame at all.
No, well, I wouldn't lay it at the players' doors. You could then say the agents have a bit of place to blame because they know exactly what every player in the whole Premiership.
So where do you think the blame does sit?
Well, obviously sits at the people who actually run the budgets, and now whether the grey, well, it's not grey area, but the area that comes in is obviously how they ran it through the companies that they used and how they did it. Well, they cleared one person to use that, as far as I remember from the show. We talked about it when it first came out. But then obviously didn't clear everyone else, and it wasn't actually a breach of the rules, was it? It was a breach of the sort of
ethics of
the game. But that's why then they're obviously always going to be over after. If they've done it one year, then they're going to be over every year because it carries on.
But how long has this been? But the thing is,
4 years, isn't it?
Yeah, but this has been going on for quite a while. Like, I remember when it first came out, and there were two particular clubs that had come under scrutiny, or allegedly.
2015.
Yeah, and all the other clubs were, you know, ready to throw the knife. And then suddenly, because I remember the owner at the time talked about it, and he said, "Look, we've got to be very careful. You know, we're making sure that we're all in line with everything." And you know, and then it just went away. It was like he was. Looked at me and I was like, right, things are going to happen now. These clubs are in trouble. This is going to happen. You know, it was pushing very hard. And then suddenly, it was something like, it was bizarre. Like 1 minute, it was like it definitely going to. The two clubs have been caught out. There's question marks. All the other owners are firing into it. There's big trouble. There's going to be massive sanctions. Where every club needs to be in line, white and white. And then overnight, it disappeared. And I remember going back to him, what happened? And he went, well, it's just, you know, got brushed on the carpet and walked off.
Right.
But then, how does it get to the point where the salary cap manager doesn't know everything that's going on? So surely he can go on like anyone can, go on Company's House and go, no, Owen Farrell's company, and it can literally go and then walk into the club and go, well, he's got a company, a limited company, he's got a company, right, I want to know what those companies do, where that money's coming from.
Are you implying that the due diligence at Prem Rugby has not been what it should have been?
Well, I'm sort of suggesting that did they do everything to disclose? It's not that hard, you know. We had.
Yeah, but is it? We're talking straight because I don't. Most of these lads are my friends, so I don't want to fucking start opening a can of worms.
Have you been in touch with anyone?
No, I messaged Billy because he broke his arm. Poor lad, I gutted for him. No, because first thing you asked me was like bothered at the top of the show. I'm like, I'm not. It doesn't. You know, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. I don't know. I can't. It's difficult to get my head around if you had more options around there. But I don't know if it's just straight money or there's other things going on. That's my point. Is that I you know, there was always the joke about stuff where you go there and you suddenly get your mortgage paid.
Well, Si has taken out so much material over the course of the shows that we've been doing, which legally at the time we weren't able to publish.
But even now, I mean, I just don't know whether you're talking about a straight, because to hide that amount of money over the top of it would be very hard to do, I would have thought.
Well, if it's 2 million between 10 players, then it's not a vast amount of money, is it?
No.
But if it's 800 grand, like there's also been quoted, then it's even less. My issue is surely, I'm not going to put all the blame on Premiership Rugby, but what is the salary cap's manager's job? It's surely to get into it, look at possible ways that people could be cheating it, whether they're not. He can't just... He's got to be a cynic. He's got to be a HMRC where it's... right, hang on. Well, I can see all the boys have got businesses.
Yeah.
Where does that money come from? Even if it means including the players and going, right, you just need to clear all that up. Where's that coming from? It can't be that...
Can I talk about Prem Rugby's... when they came to interview us, for salary cap breaches. Right, this is legitimately how it went. About 8 years ago, we're in Acton, and there's a meeting. Someone comes in and goes, right, Premier Rugby are here. They want to interview about salary cap stuff, right? Because they were obviously trying to clear things up. So I got put in a room. with a guy that looked about 15 and his mate, and they sat down. He sat down, one of your friends. Right, sat down, and they went like this. So, James, firstly, are you paid by WAS? I was like, yes. They're like, do you have any side deals with the club? And I was like, no. Like, has anyone ever given you a letter to sign with stuff on it? I was like, no. Does any member of your family get paid by the club? I was like, no. And they went, well, everything seems in order here. Stopped recording and walked out. That was the extent of it. Now, unless I went and they walked in going...
willful ignorance?
Oh, that was it. I mean, I'd like to think they looked into it further than that, but that was the extent of it, where, imagine I'd gone... you got your side list? Yeah, my dad's paid. I mean, sorry, silly me. No, I'm not. You'd have to be borderline.
Okay, so just from your personal experience, were you ever offered a deal where bits of it were going to fall outside of what the...
No, the salary cap was like 1.9 million when I was playing. It was pathetic.
So were you ever offered a sort of a car or a house in France, or...
No.
Do you know people who had deals like that?
No, because I never asked anyone about
had
that.
those conversations. Were you ever offered anything outside of your...
No, I did. I always had my salary, and then I had my some image rights payments, which obviously were looked at very carefully, which they reduced that.
What did you get for your image rights?
No, so basically...
Haskell,
it's not
through the roof. He got paid more for Brent Haskell than he did for his kids.
Yeah, interesting enough is that... I have like a press cutting agency in Invest that did stuff at the time.
Yeah.
So... it was a lot of clubs, obviously, they tightened that up because they looked into it football, they looked into that area. And, I could actually prove that I was getting more coverage than they were paying me, but they wouldn't do it because of the laws. So I was very stringently managed. And that was it. There was no side deals. There was no like, oh, we'll pay your mortgage in your house, or, you suddenly got a house in South Africa.
Do you know players who have got those deals?
No, I don't.
Genuinely?
I mean... We all joked with the Sarries guys about, that they got the creche and one of the boys' wives is on 500 grand and he's on 30 grand in the books, or one of them's a car park attendant on £1 million and he's getting 20 grand. I mean, she parked the cars, but she's not worth fucking £1 million. So we all used to joke at that all the time, that they were on the fiddle, because I think people were jealous about their success, people were looking into it. I've just got to ask, what I've got to ask is, because we don't know the details and they won't open the books here and there's so much conjecture, that I think the reason you wouldn't do that is that if you not only are you sacrificing the club, you're sacrificing all the players, because there is no way that those players are all getting paid on those books, and it's been fiddled so much that they will then be exposing all the other people and everything else. I think, because there's no way. It's better to go down with the ship than it is to
Well, that is the sort of team ethos of Sarries. Is it's one team, so if they're going to go down, they're not going to open up the books. But then if they were doing something 4 years ago around players, limited companies, and they bought into doing that, then of course over the next 4 years you're going to be over the cap because you're running the same ship.
Yeah.
Now, unless someone pulls you to rights on it, like this, so now they obviously got their 5.4 million fine, and then they got their 35 point deduction. How do they expect them to get under the cap this year?
Well, that almost is why the goalposts have moved.
Surely
they had no cards to play.
Of course they don't. So how is it good for the game if they lay off 10, 15 players? They have nowhere to go for 6 months. You might ruin their career. So they're not going to do that, because how does that benefit the game? So where is we had a systemic problem in terms of we thought we were operating on, yes, shadowy ground or whatever, but in the benefit of the players.
Yeah.
But it was wrong. So then how do you expect us to flip it in 1 year to get under the salary cap without laying off a massive amount of players who then won't get picked up by clubs because the clubs are so bitter against them they won't take them.
Yeah.
Look at someone like Bath, who Jamie Roberts has left, and they've signed Matavesi rather than go and say to Sarries, we'll take one off your books and help you out.
Yeah.
So then how are you ever going to do that? And is that good for the club if you just put people out of a job? No, it's not. You go, right, you've got problems, and you work with them and go, how can we adjust this? Or is it just about punishing to a level? Because as James says, I'm not that bothered about it. And if I was a player at Sarries and I was an actual starter or whatever, you might end up going somewhere else. But I'm not worried as Sarries, because I think if they'll drop down, I think they'll keep quite a lot of players. probably a majority of them. Liam Williams will go, and they'll get rid of some of their slightly bigger players that don't play week in, week out. They'll win every game in the Championship. Those guys will still play for England. They'll be rested as much as they want. They'll probably, typically, they'll probably go and win Europe this year. And then they'll just drop down, have a great year, best crack. You'll see them on holiday with all, and they'll just do it that way, and they'll come back up.
Little mid-season.
I think we good. Yeah, I think we're good for the players' bodies, not getting hammered into the ground. You know, people say about moving those players to France. Why would you, at this stage of your career, unless it's for ridiculous cash, and you're in like the prime of your life, go to France where everybody is a mutant? Everybody's massive. You get absolutely filled in. The medical care. I told you when I was at Stad once, they put me on a pair of tights and a bloke hoovered my legs. I mean, it wasn't in his front room. It was a legitimate thing they were doing. Like, it was in the medical room. He didn't just take me out to dinner and put me in tights and hoover me. It was like a part of the thing.
It was the cupping of the French world.
It was. Right. So it did that. But I think with Tins, I wouldn't leave the club. I'd stay with there. You know, Eddie's going to still pick them. And I also think with this situation, with the bits and pieces with the salary and stuff, is that you can't just sack players and save money. If you're over, you still got to pay them off. Yeah. You can't do that, because then you'll just get sued. Like, you can't go, we messed up, we fiddled the books. By the way, we're going to offload all our players, get ourselves under the salary cap. They were never going to be able to do it. And
so is that why they've then gone, we're not letting forensic accountants go in there?
I want to read out
because
this tweet from Stephen Jones. Today, Prem Rugby's CEO said, full judgment, Saracens do not want it released. So when you talk about working together, it does feel as if Prem Rugby and Saracens are trying to contain the fire here. But actually what's happening is that everybody is sort of...
does it benefit if all the numbers come out? And
you tell me.
How does it benefit? Because the thing is, if they've systemically been doing it for what they believe is the player's best interest, which, you know, what we don't talk about is Sarries is what they've built, how they've promoted players, how they look after players in terms of post-career, what they do in terms of getting them into businesses. I'm pretty sure that Sarri started the massive games when they took games to Wembley and everywhere else, and sort of set the goals at a completely different standard. Took the boys away and spent money on team bonding weekends and creating this thing called the Wolf Pack, which has seemed to have benefit them and creates this. So just because they've done that, that's not. If I was that company, I would go, okay, we've fucked up, but I'm not going to change what are our core beliefs. So we're going to look after the players, and if that means taking relegation, and then hopefully what they'll get is the players, when they drop down, will go, well, we love this club, we'll stay here. We understand that you're going to have to make changes, which is part of professional sport.
Yeah,
maybe they'll go to Calais instead of like Morsing or something like that for a trip.
Delicious,
like a Boulogne on a school trip.
The problem with not releasing it though is that it feels a little bit like it's being popped back under the carpet again. And there was a very interesting article from Jonathan Liu, who writes in The Guardian, and he just said that it's been shambolic, the whole handling of this thing, because of the lack of transparency. It feels like the whole thing is being made up. In November, 35 points, 5.4 million. January, now, actually, we're going to relegate you.
Do you not think, though, because there wasn't a precedent set for this, they got caught ages ago. Everybody
2015, that was the line in the sand.
Everybody knows everyone knows this was going on, right? So they brushed up the carpet. It's come back again. They've done it, and they've gone, well, we don't have a precedent for this. Right, we'll dock the points, we'll do this, we won't take the trophies, we won't go that.
And then realise they can't. Why did they not kick it on in 2015?
Prem Rugby?
Yeah.
Well, because I presume they wanted to avoid the unholy mess.
But surely they would be like, we are thoroughly auditing you every year.
Well, I presume what happened in 2015 is this is the line in the sand. We will bury this one, but if you don't adhere and comply...
Surely you don't just say that. Surely you follow through and you go, you have to give us access to all your accounts, all players' limited companies, where the money's going, what they're doing.
But so I like
you're asking the question. I'm going to say
I
don't know the answer, but wouldn't does it not seem like common sense?
That's where they've ended up. I mean, they've been forced into this because of the journalist who,
and they've still obviously got 6 months left. Can they drop that?
Well, I don't think there's no point doing it.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, no, there's obviously not. But is it not harsh saying that they've still got half a season to go and not giving them a chance to drop it?
But I think they won't never be able to.
Are they saying that they won't drop it? That's another thing.
I think it's impossible to drop it because you've got contracted players. You can't, just because you've overpaid them or fiddled it, you can't turn around halfway through and go, if I was at a club right? And they went. I mean, I had it. I told Stad. I told you when they paid me, and I went to England, and I stayed there, and Max just took half my salary, just never gave it back, and basically said, "Sue us."
What?
Do you not? I've told you this. Yes, but basically, I went to go to England camp. Jono wouldn't let me go. Max said I had to be back. I said I couldn't come back because I got it in my contract. He took half my salary, half my monthly pay, and just took it. And I went to them, and they said, "Sue us." And eventually gave it back, but it cost me more to do it, so I never got it back. It was just taken. So with these guys, as a player, if I went to Saracens and I was a Saracens player and I signed a contract, and they went, "Oh, we fucked up here. We have to let you go." I'd be like, "Yeah, fine. Pay me out the contract." You're still over it,
and that money still contributes. To the salary
that's
account.
what I mean. So it's pointless. And the fact that if you go, I think the fact that it's been handled the way it's handled. I think there's got to be some transparency over what has happened, but I don't think you need to go into all of it. And I like the fact that Saracens have gone down with the shit, because I think it exposes the players. I think that's the thing from my perspective as their teammates and people as well. I think, you said players aren't to blame. I don't think they are, but it depends what has been done. So if it's just straight overpayment, then they don't know. I don't know what you're on. If we're in the same club, I had no idea what anyone else was. There were some weird players that would go around talking about it, or the bullshitters who go, "I'm on $500,000," so you go at your agent and go, "How's that plonker with one leg got $500,000? I'm getting." They're like, "No, he's bullshitting." But other than that, you never talk about it.
Yeah.
But all the agents know exactly, because there are only about 3 agencies that cover the majority, 90% of the players in the market. So they know exactly, and they set the tone. But then agents don't want a salary cap, so they hold clubs to ransom because they know they can.
But I think it's got to be more complicated than just paying 10 players more money. There's got to be a more extent to it. So I think that as long as the precedent is set and they've been fined and done that, and I think the players would stay. I don't see there's any point leaving. I think it makes sense. I just think they should bring out some, basically, this is what happened, this is why we did it, and I'll leave it at that. Because the more information you get, I think people are still going to keep digging, but I don't know how much you can actually find out by going to company's house or going to publish accounts.
I just think they've enforced a maximum fine and ban on and points deduction on them, and they've realised they're not going to go down. And all the other clubs have got really
moved the goalposts.
And all the other clubs have got really bitter about it, because even when they hit them with this huge fine that would relegate any other club, maybe bar Exeter, and they've realised, well, they're not going to go down, and they've still competing in Europe.
Yeah.
And even though they've played a second team in 2 of their games that they've played, and they're still in a quarter final against Leinster. And just imagine if they beat Leinster.
But I want to know. What I find it very hard to reconcile is that in my head is that how much of a difference has that made? You know what I mean? Like, because I thought more the game plan, the way they
look
played.
At the size of their squad. That is the argument. Is that if they lose
it's 41
Barrett,
big.
they bring in Lazowski. What?
It's 41 big.
Well, their academy kids come up on the rails pretty quick. I think the quality
as I've just
of their,
explained to you, academy can only get paid 30
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the depth of their squad.
Yeah,
so they use their academy kids very
Exeter
well.
don't fiddle it, and they push every other team, but not to the extent. Like you play Saracens, like not to the extent. They're not like. I mean, those players are good, but because it's a team sport, and what I want to say is that, like the things like we talked about, Thomas, like the doping thing, right? Is if you've got a team and you absolutely the systemic doping, and you made them, they were able to recover quicker, whatever, and be able to perform, and they were superhumans. I can understand that. They're still just players, still a team. So when people lose their shit, how much of a difference does it make having that squad? They're quality players, but they're not that much better than Exeter. Are they? They just what I've always admired about Saracens was the coaching mentality, the approach to the game, the not doing what every other team does.
Yeah,
made more of a difference than, and also I mean, look, I think I told you in my contract negotiations, always a pay cut, right? Always an offer of a pay cut, always bullshit. I always had to pretend I was going to leave or did leave, and it was always an absolute shambles. And players in similar clubs will always let their contracts expire, so you don't feel welcome, you don't feel valued. It always leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And then you look at Saracens, and they're picking these players, like 4 or 5 of them up together and signing them up. That's what I felt the culture makes them is successful. I think that's much more impactful than the fact they've got more players. I just don't believe it makes that much. I don't know why people are getting that fucking knickers in a twist that much. I can't see it.
How much are they a victim of their own success? terms, with the likes of Jamie George, Mako, Marrow, Owen, who have come up through the ranks. They have been grown as Saracens players. And I presume Owen Farrell's gone from 16 grand and cleaning the boots for the big boys to one of the world's best players right now. But
I was just looking at Exeter squad, and they've got more players in their squad than
they've got
Sarries.
66 players. 67.
That's what I mean. It's
They've
like
got more players.
I
But
just-
that
I
I bet
doesn't-
you Bristol's squad's pretty
that doesn't
sizable as
break. That doesn't break down into academy. But then,
But look at Bristol. I would say Bristol's got as many like superstars. Or
oh no, I was
you know, I just don't get like every team's got a quality of like hardcore players. It just seems that what more makes them more powerful is their culture, and people get jealous. I think there have been
Nothing brings out the wolves like success.
Yeah. People always look at it and go complain about people who are successful. Everyone wants to kick stones because they don't want to admit that what they're doing is not good enough. And it's very easy to go, oh, you know, like it's easy to go, Lance Armstrong, you're a cheating fuck because you were geared off your tits and gave yourself cancer twice. That's terrible. You know, getting paid a bit more, they're still not superhuman people.
Yeah, but you're looking at the individual there. If you pay everybody more as a collective, and you therefore have a squad,
But I don't
which
think they are
enables
all
you-
pulled extra. I think you look after those boys. I think you'll find some guys in the lower echelons are probably paid not great.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of players would come to Saracens for not a lot of money. Like Wasps back in the day when we won everything, right? That we were paying the players the less in the Premiership. Because they just went, if you want to win stuff, come to Premier. That was my negotiation tactic. I had Lawrence go, well, if you want to fucking, want to win stuff, stay. If you want to, when we were winning, getting there, Di offered to drive me down to Bath. I got a good offer from Bath one year, and he went, I'll drive you down there myself, mate. I fucking get rid of you, drive you down. I was like, okay, well, I'd like to stay actually. Mr. Youngster, Mr. Dyser.
So good. So good. So it's Starfold.
There's always
I'm
that
going to go
kind
to
of-
Bath. Okay, I'll drive you down there.
Yeah.
Okay, I really want to
Yeah,
stay.
exactly. There's always that stuff.
It was very interesting on Ugo and Chris Jones' podcast. Brendan Venter, who said that essentially they were a victim of their own success because they had a very good academy, they had a very good culture, they brought players through and turned them into world-class players, and therefore you then have to pay them. Do you have any sympathy with the fact that the production line of success that they have generated has in some ways got them to this position?
I'm not entirely sure because in my history of my contracts that I went through, being a one club man actually screwed me over for so long. As I said, what I got paid when I won a World Cup.
But exactly, so they are the antithesis to your problem, which is that you were punished for being a loyal person.
Yeah.
They incentivise the people who show loyalty.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're
did
basically
they?
backing
But
up what I'm saying.
No, but I don't. Well, do you know that for a fact though?
Well, I presume if they're however many £1 million over the salary cap, and they have spent that on the players who've come through, basically,
But then
for the longest.
Yeah.
I mean, they've built that club around Marrow, Owen, Jamie George, Mako,
But
Billy.
then
Billy obviously was at Wasps,
what
but
was
the other
Owen-
kids
when
have
was
all come
that?
through.
How old was Owen when he first joined?
15, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Was
he
it
played with his
because
dad.
when his dad joined? So yeah, you look, but then he's not all the way through the Sarries thing. He's through
Of
the
course,
academy.
But the point is, that
yeah, I know
they
what you're
will
saying.
say, we have
But then
invested
at the end of the
time,
day,
we've
yeah.
built the club, we've got these kids in as youngsters, and we've turned them into some of the best players in the world. We're not going to get rid of them because of
why
salary.
should-
But
why
why
should
should we get rid of those
them?
players
that we've developed.
that we've
But
developed?
I think you would pay. But for example,
But
if
then
I
you're
was,
falling into a line of what the agents want, where if you want, basically agents don't want a salary cap. Quite a lot of people. You go to France, they don't want a salary cap. They don't want to be,
but I think
hindering
hindering of trade or whatever they say, whatever it is. But
restraint of trade.
Restraint.
I wonder if Sarries will be looking at their.
Yeah, but do you not think
The
that
legals.
with those players, if you've got an Owen
Premier
Farrell,
League.
a Maro Toji, Jamie, all these boys sitting together, that they love each other, they have a great camaraderie, the teams, and they come to contract negotiation, they've offered like the people, and they come in and go, right, this is what you could get. So you're telling me Maro couldn't have gone to any other club as a
Marquee player.
right, and written a blank check? Or would you go and go, I'll take less than what I could have got elsewhere to stay at a club where I'm comfortable, I'm treated right, I'm looked after, I love everyone, we win shit, and take slightly less. Like we're projecting here without knowing. I would have done that.
Yeah.
I would have gone in and gone, right, my agent, I want to pay money. But actually, if they went, well, do you know what, we can get you this much more leaving. You come into Saracens, the art of negotiation, well, you can, but there's more to life in professional sport than getting loads of cash. We talked about it last show, because you get people who change club for all the money, and they suddenly realise that the family don't get on, the missus hates it, they hate the players. Like Geezer said.
Liam Williams is going back to Wales because of family. Well, apparently family.
Yeah,
Drove down on his head.
they couldn't all carry the cash back over the border, so he's got to go and help them.
It's like the Wolf of Wall Street, where fly out the family, strap it to him.
It's like you know, in is it Casino? We've got the diamonds in their hair, and he's shaking his missus' lid out, all the cash falling out.
But look, I was the same. So when I moved from Bath to Gloucester, I went and saw Sale, and I went and saw Sarries, and they were offering an unbelievable amount more money than what Gloucester were offering. But then I looked at the Gloucester squad and I was like, well, actually, these players actually could go somewhere. Funnily enough, we finished first a few times, but never won a title, but won a Parker pen.
Strong. But where's that medal these days?
Yeah.
You're listening to and watching House of Rugby. Welcome along. Good to have you with us. Tins is back from Oz. Hask is alongside. Still to come, we're going to look at the effect on those Saracens players and also potentially how the rugby landscape is going to evolve over the next few years. But first of all, on Liquid Football this week, Kelly Cates was joined by the former West Ham defender Anton Ferdinand, who talked about how he fell out of love with the game after the death of his mum. Have a listen to this.
I couldn't accept that. She was 15 and she died so young. And being prominent in my life and in my whole family, she was the head of my family. And for her not to be there, it was always like, why does she have to go so early? Why is she not here? You know, and that's what I struggled to deal with. And then going to a game, it was like, because as footballers, the minute you leave your house, it's work. You're working.
Yeah.
The minute you step out of the comforts of your home, you're now working because you're now in the public domain. People want to chat to you. People want to ask you for a picture, want to ask you for autograph, or they want to slag you off. So you're now working. You can't. You have to react. You have to act in a certain way. So it's now work.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go home.
That is Liquid Football with the wonderful Kelly Cates and the team every Monday. Don't forget the Facebook group. Apparently there are 20,000, almost 20,000 of you signed up in there now. I hope you're all having fun. Expanding every day, says Producer Sai. Just go to Facebook and type in House of Rugby. In fact, Producer Sai has been doing a little poll in there recently, and he asked people where they listen and watch the podcast, as in which country they are listening and watching from. Mm-hmm. How many countries do you think we are currently broadcasting in?
I'd say 10.
This is just in the Facebook group? Okay, 10.
I think more than that. 23.
23 countries?
Yeah.
The correct answer is 44.
Bloody hell.
Ciao, konnichiwa.
Bonjour. Buongiorno.
Bonjour. Welcome to all of you. Very nice to have you all
Dziękuję.
alongside.
Jak się masz?
Luxembourg, Fiji, Kenya. Oh, I wonder if that might have been me listening back in Kenya last week. South Africa, Finland, Mexico, Norway, Singapore, Hong Kong, Holland, Thailand, Japan, Qatar. Big fan club in Qatar, apparently.
Excellent.
Brazil, Malaysia, Russia, Spain. Lots of countries. And apparently there is even...
We'd like to do a live tour of all of those countries if you'd like to organise it.
Apparently there is even an oil rig off, how am I saying this? Myanmar. Where is Myanmar? It used to be Burma, says producer Simon.
Don't be so enthusiastic.
I'm very excited about that. Very nice to be with you in Myanmar. And thank you for your
Written Burma, underlined it.
Yep. Back to Sarries. From Burma to Sarries. I'm interested in the fact that the players... And actually, I think interesting. So I've listened to a few and I've read quite a lot of articles. I think there's quite a lot of sympathy here for the players. But given the amount of abuse they're all getting, or have been getting, rib tickling, or how's the house, and you were talking about Billy having lorry loads of cash dumped on his lawn. At some point, someone in that changing room must have looked around and said, "This is a fairly heavyweight squad here. I wonder if we are
when they know
playing the game."
They didn't notice the people turn out with wheelbarrows when they got called. Coach wants to see him. People wheeling barrows, cash out. What
I mean, again, that sort of willful ignorance kind of thing. It's just as a player, you just haven't got the time or the interest in.
If you're winning, you don't generally care, right?
No, but you do. I mean, the point is that nobody talks about salary. It's not an open book. So the assumption is that I think
It's not your job.
It's not your job. But also, if you look at them in the starting lineup, you just think that players would move to other clubs. Like, I don't imagine Sarries would be signing a lot of players from other countries and clubs for lots of money because you're going there to play and win. You might sign some people, but not, people want to go there because they want to be winning part of it. So I think there's going to be a discrepancy. I think they've looked after their homegrown talent. They might sign a couple of superstars.
You cannot tell me that those players haven't gone, I mean, half of them are doing business degrees. They're obviously not studying very hard if they can't just do some of the basic maths in the room.
I just think ignorance is bliss. Why would you want to do that? I mean, they've got better things to do.
Okay.
Why would I ever sit around with a calculator and go, because it's all guessing. You have to nobody would admit to doing it. Like, nobody's going to tell you what they're on.
So,
what he's saying is, even if they do tell you what they're on, and then they're getting something into a limited company or something else, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you the salary. They might say, "Oh yeah, I get 300 grand a year." You're like, "Okay, that's a nice salary."
Yeah.
But then they might not say they're getting another 150 in property.
What do you think does happen to this Sarries squad? So you think between the two of you think the superstars will stay? Do you think the middle tier are vulnerable and they'll bring through the academy? Do you think?
Yeah, I think trim
a third off each.
I would think the middle tier would be the most
rumours
vulnerable.
already about.
There might be a couple. Dare I say it? Brad Barrett might be taken on as a coaching role and lifted off.
What, for $1 million a year?
Maybe, because he's got
a coffee empire to run.
34 or something.
Yeah.
So they could look at doing that. Wiggy again, someone like that, and then sort of middle of Ezekiel or someone like that. Those sort of people would get then. But then it depends on when their contracts are up.
Yeah, you can't just shut. There's a lot of just getting rid of people. If I was out of contract at Sarries now, I'd be like, because that's your dust. Trying to get them, some of them lads are signed up for 4-year deals. Like, I think they signed Mara up, or these guys are 3 or 4 year deals. They like to get them in. You're telling me, I mean, it could potentially, if they wanted to get rid of them, they had to get rid of them. I reckon it would undo the whole club because that would destroy it. They might as well disband.
Worse than the fine.
Yeah, to try to get rid of all those players, it would be a nightmare. So I would take a view that I don't think Sarries players care that much about irate fans of people getting abused. We've always abused them. Eddie said he's going to have a meeting, like a clear the air meeting or whatever. I mean, I've listened to some of my teammates and people we've had on the show went real hard on them when it first came out. I mean, I wouldn't have been asked. I would have just going, anyone got any problems with Sarah's? Like, yeah, I've got a problem. Just to let you know, I'm going to be taking the piss solidly for the next fucking 8 weeks. And then whenever I see you for the rest of the time, that's the only thing you've got to worry about. Yeah. I mean, is anyone that asked? Again, because it's
people apparently are.
Well, who would it? Well,
Purists,
yeah. Love of the game.
Tony Rowe at Exeter. I mean, he would argue, has been cheated out of 3 titles. And with those titles comes increased commercial power, the ability to grow the club, the ability to, his investment has not reaped the rewards.
He's the only person you could probably.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you could be upset, yeah. Tony Rowe. Yeah, so Tony Rowe,
you have the pass.
You're allowed to be upset. Exeter, you're allowed to be upset. Yeah. The rest of them, shut up.
Right. That is interesting, actually. And I suppose the question comes down to ambition. I mean, Exeter have been, and Tony Rowe has been the most vociferous critic. But actually, when you look through the rest of the league, you don't see clubs who are burning with ambition in the same way. Of course, they all want to win, but Sarries have gone out and built an empire, whereas there are other clubs who have been empires in the past who haven't sustained it, they haven't invested in it, they haven't got the right people in it. Do you see it as a? I mean, do you have some sympathy with Sarries?
Yeah, massive amounts of sympathy.
Do you?
In terms of what they're the best academy. They've managed to do the best players. They do the best thing for the players. Do the best off the field for the players. They do just families. They look after just as a whole package. Obviously, Exeter, having played in Gareth Steenson's testimonial, do an exceptional job.
Yeah.
Just to be around that club was an absolute joy.
Yeah.
And you could feel from 2 days that I spent down there that it was a club that was everything I would want to play for.
Yep.
So you walk through the door, every guy who works in the stand. You get Jack Knoll just chatting away with a match attendant or whatever because they know each other. It was the same at Gloucester. So then it's it's a club that
Probably
everyone
relatives,
buys.
aren't they, for Jack? Probably filling it. Well, filling.
It's-
Was it on 100 grand, was he? Whoa, allegedly, joking, Tony.
Hashtag gag.
But then you look at every other club probably in the past has had question marks, whether it be Sale, Leicester, Wasps.
So why is it?
Bath.
So if you look at the debt that is coming into the game now relative to when you were 1.9 million, that is destabilising the entire thing. I just wonder why, if the salary cap, and we have been joking about it for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, why this is the year that everyone suddenly said, right, that's it, we're going to rip the whole thing up, you're going down, etc., etc.
I don't know. Look, it probably goes back to 2015. They should have done something in 2015. I don't think 2 marquee players helps the game. We even forget about that. So of all those people we thought might earn 500,
two actually sit outside it.
Two actually sit outside it. So you're definitely getting $1 million to $1.5 million back on that salary.
Yeah.
So.
But why now? Why have the other Premiership clubs who were very, very angry in 2015?
I do think it's spiralling out of control a little bit, and I do think that what rugby has done very well is protect its own sort of structure around making it viable. We learn from other sports because we were so young in '96. We are young and we learn from other people's mistakes, and we don't want to get into the place where all clubs are in debt or it's not functioning as a viable sport. That's not what we're about. We're more intelligent than that, and this is why I actually do think that the salary cap is important.
Do you think the salary cap is too big currently? 7 mil.
Possibly. I think it's grown at too rapid a rate. So when did I... So I retired in 2014, and what was it then? 3.2?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
6, 3.2.
And then when did it come in? 99.
Yeah.
Salary cap went up while pay went down.
So what was it? 1.9?
Got that wrong.
What was it? 1.9 when it came in 99?
Yeah, something like that.
So over 10 years, it only went up
Less than double.
And then in the last 5 years, it's doubled again.
Yeah.
But you said about the profitable thing, though.
But-
I thought that most clubs are in debt or managing debt or losing
all of them
money.
are bar Exeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
But they have a huge conference facility just off the M5, which is
But
where
what
they
I don't want to
generate a lot
get
of revenue.
into is like
Their stadium
football,
hubs.
where they go, yeah, we're in debt, but if we sold it, we're worth this.
Yeah.
Well, just operate. Like, I believe that players should take every single penny of profit because that's what you're selling it on.
Yeah.
But a club still has to roll even. Not bothered about making that much money because the players.
That is rapidly.
And then, so there's
Getting out
the
of
question
control.
is then how do we make that? Obviously, CVC coming in is going to bring more money to the table. That should not necessarily just go straight into players' salaries.
They were all given a chunk of change and told not to spend it on players' salaries. But
Saracens were
advising.
losing $5 million a year being at Allianz Park anyway, weren't they,
Yeah.
or something like that? Being at that ground,
of that
Wasps used to
teeny tiny
lose money at the Adams Park all the time. All these clubs were losing money. I still like Tins. The sustainability of the game was important because I was fearful that when you saw some football clubs and other organisations and high street shops and these big kind of dynasties that you never thought would fall have all fallen,
Debenhams and BHS.
yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Is that now it's not going to be far for a Premiership club or someone's going to when they're talking about 500 million worth of debt versus whatever that some of these teams have got. But I think Tins is right that it is about that sustainability and why maybe they've tried to drill down, and also because I think sometimes I think maybe they were too scared. Prem Rugby were probably too scared to pull the trigger. To do what they've done, take a lot of balls. You've seen the uproar. To do anything and make a decision, if they got that wrong, if someone head falls,
Yeah.
in a lot of time in business, to pull the trigger is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe they thought they could manage it, deal with it, and then suddenly the noise got too big around it.
Yeah.
And then they decided to pull the trigger and do it. And they went big, and then they did something. Saracens was through their ability, came back, and then they went, oh, we've done it again. But it seems a lot of reactionary stuff.
Yeah.
It's like we went, oh God, we'll do this, but we won't do too big. And then they went, oh Christ, that hasn't worked. Well,
Yeah.
we'll now do this.
and
But
actually, you can understand why they have done that. It's not an easy situation.
but also, do you not think there might be some
to
other
be in.
clubs who might have done stuff,
Yeah.
which might mean
I'm
that
asking
this?
you that.
Well, I
Do you
don't
think
know.
there are 1 or 2 sitting sweaty? Do you think there are 2 paying One or two clubs playing huge appearances for
I would
corporate after the
say
game?
there would be 3 clubs out there that would, if you sent forensic accountants into their club, they would.
You don't want to take that. You don't want to burn the whole shop.
But then, what does that achieve? What does it benefit?
Well, because it could burn the whole. Because I don't think. With Sarries, with Nigel Ray going, when I saw the fact that he'd stepped down as chairman, I thought, fuck, we said I was still going to financially support the club. If they were losing that volume of money and then they go down, they have to offload players, they've got to do all this kind of stuff, that could pretty much destroy a team. Like, and Mark McCall comments earlier said that the team, we will have to move on, it will it will change. I think that everything you've listed, the reason they're successful is because of things that nothing to do with the money. I don't think.
If we go into the whole thing of it, it's then what about the global game? Why can a French team operate on a 28 million euro budget?
So that isn't actually the case. That is their operating revenue. So that includes
the
whole. It's the whole shebang as opposed to just playing budget. Those French numbers that regularly get stuck up on screen on European games are not accurate relative to their playing budget. Toulouse do not have a playing budget of 34 million. That is the business revenue.
What's the point of putting that number up?
Well, don't ask me. The one thing I did want to quickly say, just with regards to Nigel Ray, is I do feel sorry for him because he's built an empire, and obviously, he's trying to do best for the players. He's trying to do best for the club. He's an ambitious man who wanted to put something, build something sustainable. It would have been very, very, very easy for him at the end of last month to say, thanks a lot, I'm out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
anymore. He is the fact he stepped down as chairman, but is going to continue to fund the club is almost extraordinary.
And I don't know what the figure that he's put into to that club over the numerous years.
I think something around the 50 million mark.
But then so where's
would the club game be without that? Yeah.
But also, I find that these blokes come into this game. I've seen it with many owners. We had like 17 at Wasps where they come in and they think they see the bright lights and they think we'll get these clubs and we'll make money out of it, not realising that so much about the game holds clubs back about making money. There's a lot of backward thinking. There's a lot of old fuckers who are so behind the game in terms of their management and bits and pieces and getting revenue streams up and really maximising what we have, that it's been held back. And then after a while, they do it for 3 or 4 years. They suddenly start seeing every year they're losing 5 million, 4 million, 5 million. It's not sustainable.
No.
And it's a very difficult bit game to come in. You almost need, the way the Sarries model worked, when they had Johan Rupert, because he was a billionaire, he's probably got the same amount of change in his Bugatti. He doesn't lose that. 5 million, I've dropped that down the side of the seat.
That's all they say about Abramovich. If he drops a 50 quid note, it's not actually worth his time bending down to pick it up because he's made.
So my point with that is that you've got to have that level of cash to do it. But a lot of these boys come in with 20 million, 30 million, 50 million, and they suddenly start losing it. After a while, your personal fortune is getting nailed. It's not worth it. And that's the problem with rugby. It's run by a lot of these people who think they're going to make money out of it. The game doesn't make money, and I think there are lots of ways of being able to do that. But I think a lot of clubs are so behind that we are just going to continue being in debt. And I think with Nigel Ray, to lose that amount of money, I genuinely thought when he'd stepped down, that's why I quickly read on to to teach myself to read, but I read on through the article, and he's still going to keep financing it. And I thought, fair play. But I reckon if this goes and that people hammer it and they go again, they release all the books, one of these teams is going to go down one day and that'll be it. They won't be able to stay, they won't be able to do it because you'll lose backing, you lose the money and everything else. I reckon the best thing that Saracens can do is keep as many players as they can do, try and trim back with the fat, readjust it, smash it, look after the players, because the players' bodies won't get hammered so much, still play for England, come back up the next year, and we'll all just get on with it.
How damaging for Prem Rugby? Quick fire question. How damaging has this whole episode been for not just the organisation, but the club competition and how people perceive club rugby in this country?
Obviously it has been damaging because you don't want to ever read this on a game where you think's pretty level-headed and. Yeah. But I do think Premier Rugby have messed up a bit. Well,
is it?
Because it goes back to that 2015. Are they not negligent in terms of for the last 4 years? What have they been doing for 4 years?
Well, I told you, they investigated. They sent in a teenager to ask everyone questions. He reported back with his little flip chart and his clipboard and went, no, everyone's told me they're not doing anything. Well, that's case closed then. Then he's called Inspector Poirot into this mystery. But that was the extent of it. But I just don't think.
Maybe they knew that you weren't really ever going to be paid money outside of the
they knew that
original contract. We don't need to waste a lot of time on this one.
But I think maybe they're not set up or to do what they're doing now. As I said, it takes balls, but it's like it's quite a stretch to do that as a body to actually to do that, to go to that extent of level. I don't think they're really ever set up to do that.
Is the power with Prem Rugby or is the power with the clubs?
Well, I think the power's with the clubs, isn't it?
Well, exactly.
Because
that's what this would prove.
Because I think that it's a big thing to put all these Tins was reading, doing his research pre-show with all the bits of the contracts. It's one thing to have a contract; it's another thing to enforce it. You're only as good. Contracts are brilliant, but you're only as good as you've got the balls to enforce it. And as shown by my France debacle, I did not have the balls to enforce it because I couldn't be asked to spend 6 months in French law trying to get my money back. A lot of people don't do it. And so Prem Rugby was set up, and I don't think they ever imagined they would be relegating Saracens or giving them this fine or not being able to release documentation. Because I think a lot of it as well, releasing. If you start opening that can of worms, the whole show could come tumbling down.
But then surely it's got to be that either completely open show, or it runs the same way. It's all shadows, daggers, cloaks.
How long term is the damage for Saracens? Go down, come back up,
1 year.
crack up. You think that you do? Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's managed well, it should be 1 year and get on with it, and we should all just move on. Because I did say, I saw, and this just is one thing, I saw a lot of players that said come out and slag salaries off and go completely mad, right, saying we've played within the rules.
Who?
Well, you just have to Google it. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but it's there to see. When they were like, look, we've played the rules, it's unfair in the game, right? I can tell you 20 things that each one of those clubs could have done better that might have put them on a level playing field with Saracens, and that wasn't paying them more money.
That comes back to the ambition thing.
But it's not the ambition, it's just the simple basics. We've talked about in the show. Okay. It's things like don't overtrain the lads, make players look after families, do more commercial things, do whatever it might be. I would say overpaying them is probably fifth down the list of why they keep winning shit. I don't believe it's got anything to do with the money as to why they played it. And all these people who go, wow, it's unfair. I think the only people who's got to grievance are Exeter, because maybe those extra bit of talent, maybe that extra bit of squad could have done them, but they're evenly matched and Exeter don't overpay them. All the rest of them, everyone can just shut the fuck up because they're not doing it. They're not doing what they should do to get the best out of their squads. I'm sorry. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen teams' ideas of commercial department things and way they run things, business clubs and stuff. It's just absolute backwards nonsense, run by people who couldn't get a job in any decent sports. They came to rugby. It's true, and everyone in rugby's like, rugby's the greatest sport in the world. It's third down the list. You can't get into football, can't get into F1, can't get into fucking cricket. I'll tell you what, I know rugby club will pay me to be the whatever, the head of creative, head of marketing, head of everything else.
There is our viral clip for this week. Thank you, James. Succinctly put. How damaging for England? I'm sort of going through the damage thing.
I think it might be good for England.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, immediately? Do you not think with however many, I can't remember how many Saracens are in the Eddie Jones squad for the Six Nations?
Well, again, it doesn't change anything
slightly
for
worried
the players. They have to just get on with their job.
Right,
they're still going to get paid till the end of the season, so that's not going to change. The only uncertainty comes at the end of the season for players, as James said, who are probably out of contract, which are the ones that are going to be on twitchy bum time.
But you're always on twitchy bum time when you're out of contract anyway.
Exactly, unless you've signed early doors. And the problem is they won't get such. You're probably not.
I think England.
Signed.
I think it'll help England. I don't think anyone's going to care. I think they'll bring up about it.
Yeah.
I just think they'll get shit, or maybe because now all the modern players we talk about no characters in the game. Maybe everyone will just be, I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me, and nobody will mention it. We'll just have one little joke meeting, and nobody's saying anything about it because arseholes like me aren't around. Because I want to drive past Penny Hill with a loud hailer. Stop cheating!
Maybe Eddie will bring you in just to sort of...
Best thing in the world. He called me. He fucking called me the other day. I was in the car. I was driving along.
Like a fanboy.
Eddie Jones called me. He goes, Hess, mate, just announced the Six Nations squad. You're not in it, mate. You didn't make it. And I was like, oh, why? I thought I could. And he went, mate, I watched I'm Slib. You were fucking shit. And I was like, but Eddie, I've been working on my game. And he goes, no, mate, nothing for you here. Better than next time. Catch up with the Six Nations. Put the phone down. I was like, brilliant. And he made my day. I was like, how funny is that? You know, it's the day of him. It's the day of him calling up the squad, and you know that he would have got there bored. He would have been calling people, going, "Oh, mate, you haven't made it this time." And he gone, "I tell you what, I'll fucking wind up." Haskell, and honestly, he went, "Mate, now it's the squad. You haven't made it this time, mate, but better luck next time. Keep working on your game." I was like, but Eddie, I'm actually really fit at the moment. If I could run, I'd be in. He goes, "No, mate, you were fucking shit and I'm a celeb. Speak to you later, mate." He goes,
That's
actually,
actually-
he goes,
no, it's very-
he goes,
that's
you can have a
quality.
second coming, mate. It's a prop if you want.
Really?
I was like, fucking, all right, we'll do that then.
You get paid more as a prop.
That's what I mean. Pay more. All I've got to do is waddle around the field. I mean, I just don't want to,
A
you know.
ruck inspector.
Yeah.
So we're not worried about England. Gatland. Will Gatland be making... I rarely foray into social media. I put out a post saying, will Warren Gatland be looking at
I
this?
saw that post.
And I put Rotherham in the Championship because I haven't watched the Championship recently. And obviously that went down very well because they're not there in League
Why do you
One.
pretend to play at rugby? Don't play.
I don't.
I honestly,
rapidly getting
I've had nothing to do with anything. I honestly, apart from coming on the show, I haven't seen anything to do with
That
Saracens.
for you
So
is a
that is a
big error.
massive
That is a
faux pas.
massive-
Apologies.
When you go to look at your
Rotherham.
flow chart, like you know, like in Sherlock Holmes in the Game of Shadows, we've got that room with like red string.
Yeah.
Surely you've got room with old shitty Bath shirts, programs, picture Stuart Barnes.
Every
with like,
player that's
like
ever
lines-
played,
shrine.
in
every
shrine
player
to
that's
Stuart.
ever played the game since '82.
Like you follow a string and it
I
shows
have
you
a
the
file of
Guscott
facts
links with here.
Right. Anyway, the point is, will Warren Gatland be making the trip to Jersey Reds to check in on Billy Vunipola next
No,
year?
he'll just watch the
Or-
international games and go.
Ealing
Billy's
Trailfinders.
looking fit and quite good at this thing. He's looking quite fresh. I'll take him.
Do you think when God was giving out humoruses that he really did? He just fucked Billy over.
Yeah, with his arms. Yeah,
3 arm breaks.
Yeah, but do you know what it is? It's because he's got plates in each arm. It makes you more susceptible to break up by the plates.
At the
that
ends
right?
of them.
Ends of the plates. That's the problem. So because he got one, and then what they do is they put the plate in, and it breaks at the end of the plate. So normally they try and take the plates out, but the bone's weaker. So you take the plates out, you break it again. It's like a
Because it
real
was
nightmare.
so innocuous.
I didn't see it. I just
Literally, he fell like one arm, then the other arm. It was like a
Poor
fall
bloke.
that you have every single day.
But I don't think. I mean,
I played the 4G pitch.
yeah, that's another thing.
Jokes.
That's another thing. Those 4G pitches go down the toilet and the ramp. Forget that. Put a stadium on a roof. Go to the Dunedin Stadium. That's the blueprint how stadiums should be built. Forget all these synthetic, crappy pitches. Bullshit. No player likes them. Nobody likes them.
You've come alive in the last 5 minutes.
Well, because I don't care anymore. I've got a boss. What we're going to do? PR department at a rugby club's going to contact me and say you shouldn't have spoken up. I don't have a fucking club. Don't care.
You're just going to play prop for England instead.
Yeah. Potentially. With a wooden
Quick
foot.
word on the squad. No Jack Knoll.
Injury though, isn't it?
Fraser Dingwall.
No Dan Cole.
Very excited about Northampton boys in.
Just not picked.
Yeah. Ben Spencer.
Just not picked.
What do you think? Jacob Umaga. Hello to you.
Yeah, but there's 8, isn't it? 8 or is it 10 new uncapped players?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll probably change between,
No Don Brandt.
which is interesting.
No Sam Simmons.
Which is also interesting.
Everyone gets very het up about things like that, don't they?
Anything you'd like to contribute?
I thought the Northampton Saints boy was really excited.
Yeah.
Furbank, I think
Yeah.
he'll be brilliant. I think he's
the centre,
yeah. I
what's it
think
called?
Fraser Dingwall, really good player, very good.
Tell us about him. Give us a bit of a sort of...
Do you know what? He was someone that actually, when I first came to the club,
Someone
Dylan Hartley took me to one side and said, you know, Dingers is someone to watch, like very professional.
Do you just
know,
make up dingers?
Oh, or Dingers. No, I haven't made it up.
Dingleberry.
We're friends. And
best friends?
Oh, they're some of the best. And he, you know, he told me, he said to me to watch this kid and everything else that he's got a big future. And mate, he's just very consummate, very professional. You know, got at Saints, they've got great. They're getting young players up to speak in meetings. Spoke really concisely, delivered, physical. I thought it was brilliant. Furbank's great. The Moon Man, he's in there as well. Second row, big unit, strong as a house. He's
Strong as a house.
strong as an ox. Can lift a house.
Yeah.
Well, he's an ox in a house that can lift a house. So he's pretty fucking strong.
Paper
Alex.
house in Japan,
Yeah,
is he?
I love the fact. Yeah, I love the fact that
big as an
Courtney
ox
Laws.
house.
Courtney Laws is the older bloke. I remember when Courtney was 18, 19, operating around the squad. Now he's the senior statesman.
He's got 80 caps now.
He's going to get 100, I reckon.
Do you think?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
Leonard is still the only Englishman to have 100 caps. I thought
know.
that's strong.
My issue around the England squad is still scrum halves. Only 2.
Yeah.
And they're both old as fuck.
No, but there's I'm just going to do my heading because he plays the Saints as well. Mitch.
Yeah, but isn't he a...
He's an apprentice. Yeah, but he played.
What's
yeah, but
that?
he,
He's
yeah,
not going to pick him, is
No,
he?
but he played incredibly well in that game against the Barbarians that we were doing the commentary work for, and he is electric. But he has had a knee injury. He's just been coming back from it. But he was brilliant in that game. Adds a real dynamism, footwork. He worked with. He was actually pushing Kobus really hard at Saints to get the game time. And actually, when Kobus was away, he was fantastic.
Then my question is do you actually expect him to start?
Well, I think he's had a little taste. I think you bring him in to train all the time, and then if one of them goes down, you upgrade him.
Then, so do you think Ben Youngs and Willie Hines are the best nines in the Premiership right now?
Do you?
Or the best English? No.
What's happened to
Who would
Danny
you start
Care?
at 9?
Is he back fit, Danny?
I don't know if Danny's back.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah. I don't know.
But I just think one thing we haven't developed over the last year is what our scrum halves look like after Ben Youngs and now obviously Willie Hines, Wigglesworth. And I just think,
Danny, Spencer.
Well, obviously, you would say
Out of
Spencer
favour.
would be your go-to, but suddenly he's dropped out of favour for whatever reason.
Robson.
Is Dan fit yet?
I'm not sure. Is he fit? Is he fit?
I'm not sure.
Did you come to House of Rugby for your rugby detail?
All the latest information.
I think most of that could come out and we wouldn't really lose much from it.
That's the thing is we went into that World Cup and I was like, well, as much as I like Ben Youngs, I was like, he's not really, doesn't boss a game well. He didn't in the warm-up games. He didn't really kick very well. Willie Hines actually played out of his skin in those warm-up games, but I was like, where is the young player that's now taking everything on? And your Robson, who we've talked about for a long time, your Ben Spencer, who you've talked about. Obviously, they took the Bristol 9 on the South African trip, didn't they? I can't remember his name. But
Clean bowled.
Yeah, but there are, but then we can't sit on 34-year-olds, 35-year-olds.
Yeah.
That is my only.
I've just been told to move on to perfect ball because Si says this is getting embarrassing.
I tell you, there is one. The one thing
Edit.
that was interesting was Steve Borthwick,
Well,
Leicester head
very
coach.
good. You just read my notes. What do you
No, I
think?
didn't.
You did?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Steve Borthwick to Leicester. Discuss.
I texted him because I thought he's done an unbelievable job with England.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive loss. I think incredible for him to go over to Leicester. I mean, I think a bit of a difficult thing to take on. But I think, no man in world rugby,
Just get it up because you didn't know it.
no man in world rugby has worked harder than Steve Borthwick. I have never seen a man work as hard as he does under Eddie Jones. I've never seen a head coach push a person as much as Eddie has pushed Borthwick. So he's been through every single facet of coaching, the good, the bad. He's been a head coach. Like, one of the clever things Eddie did so his voice wasn't always one heard. He would have weeks where the coaches would take over and become head coaches. So Borthwick kind of has that experience. And what he did with the forwards, the attention to detail, and how he's grown as a coach, I think it's a massive loss. But I think it's incredible for what he's done for England, and I'm very excited to see him on his next chapter.
Clearly got a lot of patience. Because he waited to find out that Leicester weren't going to get relegated before he joined. He joined them.
Very clever.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on, you're a teammate.
Yeah.
Can you bring back the good days to Welford Road?
I was thinking on the way here, and I agree. I've played with Borth since he was 17. He came into that Bath team when he was 18 and basically bossed old men around, bossed Ollie Redman around, Herman Lanhurst, Martin Haag. Told them what to do line at time, completely just dominated that. My only question mark, which you don't get at international rugby, and if you think about it, I know he did stuff at Sarries way back in the day when he first retired, but has he ever tried to rebuild a forward pack in terms of recruitment? That would be my only question mark about him. At international rugby, you don't have to worry about recruitment. You get the players that you picked and you've got to get the best out of them, which will be fine for when he take over at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So then he's got to go through a recruitment phase with Geordie, and they've got to find a pack because I don't think their pack is the
strong. Did you join at the end of the season or did you join after Six Nations?
No, I think it's end of the season.
He's joining at the end of the season, but his last game is Italy.
Six Nations. Okay.
So I would imagine he would be around the team, but that's Leicester have got to recruit better. And they've got to recruit a better pack, and that's going to be a lot of pressure on both of us too. No one actually doubts his coaching statistics and qualifications, but they need to rebuild a forward pack. So,
but I think it's going to take. That's what I meant by it's a bit of almost a trial by fire because it's going to take a bit of time. I mean, unless they want to pick up half the Sarri squad, forward pack, some good guys going down in North London.
Good luck to Steve Borthwick. Good luck to Leicester. I haven't said that before, but let's hope the giant reawakens at some point. Time for this week's Guinness Perfect.
Dicing with death, Leicester, aren't they? They're getting out of jail. Just.
Well, yeah. Free pass. Our weekly test in 119 and a half seconds, because that's how long it takes to pour the perfect pint of Guinness. You can either predict which players will leave, or you can put together a starting 15 for their opening championship game next season. Lord.
Can you go first, because you're in Norse?
No.
Who will leave?
I wanted to start a...
do you want to do a 15, or do you want to do who's going to leave?
I wanted to do a 15. Could we put together a 15 or not?
Well, I'm sure you could. Let's say that they are playing... Who are they playing in the championship in game 1 next year?
Ealing Trailfinders.
Saracens away against Ealing Trailfinders, 1st of September 2020.
Yeah.
Who is going to be playing loosehead?
I've gone the other way around.
What?
I've gone...
15 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's your 15 for Ealing Trailfinders away? They may well be the defending European... No, because they won't be defending. They may well be the European champions, Saracens, away at Ealing Trailfinders, 1st of September 2020.
Haskell can do the...
Elliot Daly, I'd say.
Elliot Daly at 15.
I've gone good at 15.
Okay.
So who? Okay, you can pick between you.
He goes to
And I've got Daly on the wing.
So, Alex Good at 15. You've gone Elliot Daly at 14 or 11? 11.
14, because whichever.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, because obviously he's
Elliot
better left
Daly.
Yeah.
Yeah. World Cup finalist, British and Irish Lion.
Yeah. I've gone Tompkins, 13.
Nick Tompkins.
Yeah. Good player, actually.
I need a 14 from you as well.
Lewington.
Alex Lewington. So, no Maitland.
No, he's got to go.
Okay.
He's
Sorry
been
about
cut.
that, Sean.
Sorry, Sean.
Reckon you'll be all right.
Seeing you.
You haven't got a 12?
No, who's your 12?
Lozen, or whatever.
Alex Lazowski,
Lazowski.
I reckon.
England international.
I reckon he might.
Yeah, well,
be
Barrett. Well,
Do you
no,
think?
I think Barrett. Well,
I
it depends. I don't know anyone's contract details, so I don't know how
Okay,
long
but
people have got.
this is it's fun, not fact.
Yeah.
Fly half.
Faz has got to stay.
So Owen Farrell starts for Saracens away at Ealing Trailfinders.
Yeah.
He ain't going anywhere.
No, I know he's not going anywhere, but I'd say great. Have 6 months off. See you for the Six Nations.
Well, no, but then obviously you've got to win the Trailfinders. They're actually a good team. So
Okay. Owen Farrell.
But do you know what, there is a process, just quickly, I know we did a perfect point, which will be cut out, but there is a process to thought, maybe if they train with England the whole time and then just got a couple of sample matches, warm up, and then looked
Bit of
after
bars in November.
Yeah, became centrally contracted almost, looked after, Eddie
Like
looked
a gun
after
for
them.
hire. They could go and play.
There's a question.
Eddie looked after
What?
them.
Use it as a centrally contracted.
An opportunity
progression.
to take those players out. Eddie trains them for the whole period of time, put them into something to get some game time, and then they come into the Six Nations fresh, ready to play. Could be an absolute game changer.
And never give them back.
And then you do, because there was a time where I did that when I was in between clubs, where I went and trained and I didn't have a club before I
Shit, why
started
do we not
Japan.
get to central contract in minute 3? Why are we doing this at the end of the show? Do you genuinely think that is an option?
Well, it could be
They
a
are if you haven't got
force
any,
your
if you haven't
hand.
got any money.
Shut up.
Believe that, or you would forensically account that lot. Where's all the cash going then? What? On the tea? What, you reckon they got a 20 million biscuit bill, have they? Tea. We're going through £7 million worth of tea bags here, have we? It's like that guy, you know, in Blackadder 2, where he spends 250 grand on socks. it's just fiddly. It's just bullshit, isn't it?
Ben Spencer at 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8.
Billy.
Good luck, Ealing. Billy V. Back from his arm injury.
Yeah.
7, Ben Earl.
Yeah.
Playing well, isn't he?
That's what's going on. Has he been playing well? Because I'm interested to see him go.
He was ripping up trees on the
Played well.
weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah. 6.
Ray. I've gone.
Jackson Ray. Yep. 5.
Instead of Rhodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's new, so he'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
I think Earl will be cheaper than Rhodes, won't he?
Oh, no.
Ray,
Yeah, but Michael Rhodes is one of those who they say might go and move on to pastures new.
Fine.
5.
Marrow.
You're putting Marrow straight in.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what, this is going to be a hell of the Championship Rugby is going to be. Imagine if he didn't win.
You'll enjoy being on Sky.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much indeed. I don't know
Joel, number 4.
You wouldn't go Nick Ezekwe?
Well, I wondered if they keep the cheap one and sack Nick off. Not saying you should do, but
I'm not. I would keep Ezekwe if you could, but I think he'll be one of those that falls into mid-level.
Do you think George Cruz is going to end up moving on?
No, I think Cruz might have to go.
yeah, Snooze will go off to somewhere else. I think
Japan for millions of yen.
Hopefully.
How old's Cruz now?
Whoa, I don't know.
29?
Yeah, 28, 29.
Not that old. Okay, put Joel in. That's 4. 3. Cox's going to go back to South Africa.
Yeah, Cox got to go. He's an easy 3 of cash, isn't he?
Yeah.
What does Barrington play?
Barrington's prop, yeah.
Well, he's shy.
He lose,
Who cares? He knows he's tight head.
Is he?
He's what side is left side?
That's loose.
Loosey lefty.
He's facing me,
Righty.
so he'd be, yeah, he's a loose head.
It's ridiculous that you've had to do that as a prop.
I can't remember. Who cares about props and scrums? Nobody.
More detail on House of Rugby. Mako
Yeah, Mako will stay.
Yeah.
and Jamie George. So we do need a tight head. Amasatelli. He's tight, isn't he? I think he's tight head. I'm going to stick him in anyway. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. TT
I tell you what, we've pied off Will Skelton.
Yeah. No,
So I think Australia will come in for him quite quickly.
yeah.
Oh, right, it's a call.
I think
Is it
he'll
excuse?
go back. He's played better than ever since he's been here. So.
Well, because he's
Say
true.
So Ealing Trailfinders away. Saracens' first game of the 2020 Green King IPA Championship season. Alex Good, Sean Maitland, Nick Tompkins.
No,
we got rid of Maitland.
no,
Sorry,
we got
who
rid
did
of
you say? Alex
Maitland.
Lewington.
Yeah.
Take 2. Opening game of the Championship season 2020. Alex Good, Alex Lewington, Nick Tompkins, Alex Lazowski, Elliot Daly, Owen Farrell, Ben Spencer, Billy Vunipola, Ben Earl, Jackson Ray, Maro Toje, Joel, TT, Jamie George, and Mako Vunipola.
What about I don't believe. What about Goody going? Max Malin's at fullback.
3.
Isn't he? Max Malin's was a fullback.
Yeah, plays 10 as well. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Still 9 internationals.
9 internationals in there. What would the score be against Ealing Trailfinders? Ambitious club as they are.
1,000,000. I don't know.
Thanks for caring.
4.
Snooze.
I don't see them scoring, so 47-0.
Snooze was born
47. Okay, 47.
Snooze
Do you
was
know-
born in 90s.
Yeah, 29.
Yeah, 29.
Salaries were 5,000 to 1 to be relegated this season.
But
Okay.
would that be? Do
the bookies pay out?
I don't think the bookies would pay out on that.
It's like insurance companies, isn't it? Every
always a
fucking way to
loophole
get out of it.
somewhere.
Do you know what I found out? I was paying 370 quid for my dog's pet insurance per month. I didn't realise I've been paying it for
It's
like.
so expensive.
How long ago did your dog die?
No. He's
it's still alive.
He's still around.
What have you got?
Right. A Weimaraner across the Labrador. He lives with my parents now.
knew that.
No, his name's Aero. He's brilliant. He's the best dog
I
ever.
didn't even know that.
No, I had him for years. Basically, once I had him, he used to come with me everywhere. So if he was with me now, he'd be in here. But what happens when I went to France, I got him a dog passport, but my parents started walking him and losing loads of weight, and he had the time of life out in the country. So I never took him back. So they look after him. Chloe won't let me have a dog now.
Why?
Because I'm never around and it was stupid and everything else. And she,
You could bring a bit more life, family balance to you. So
I did think that.
Yeah.
I did think that. Yeah.
Like mellow
so
you.
yeah, and I love dogs. I'm just like one of those weird people who gets on the floor with them. But anyway, so Aero had like a load of operations, and then he turned over like the equivalent of 30 in rugby, and he got the insurance went up to 370 quid a month. I was paying, and I realised that I've been paying for a couple of years. That even if his leg fell off, the money I paid, because in my mind I was thinking, oh, it's going in, it's like going to accumulate, in an operation you get it out. I was like, no, he could die, and I would have paid. No, I know. I just didn't compute quickly because I was looking at it.
We've never insured a dog.
Yeah, and I realised that
sometimes he can end up working the other way.
Yeah, and I realised that, but even if he had an operation the other day, like $7,000 for his, like, he did his cruciate ligament, right? And he got it all sorted out. And I'm thinking, I still would have covered that in the amount of money I paid, so I've cancelled it. His head will probably fall off tomorrow, but if it does, he can't glue that back on. Can he? Yeah.
So why is that?
I don't know a lot about biology, but I think his head comes off. I can't stick it back on.
About.
Yeah, but Aero's brilliant. If you're watching Aero, he's a big fan of the show.
Sold a dog with no pet's heads are falling off.
No, but I do want a dog. Any of you as Labradors or Rottweilers, let me know.
I thought he was just real quiet, like
a Dachshund called Sybil. The more that sums you up. That bar that or a little sausage dog.
Yeah,
Not far off a sausage dog. I hope we've been fair and reasonable, and I don't think we've got a huge amount of detail.
No, we haven't.
We've sort of, you guys have spoken about how you feel about these things.
We've only basically talked about what we've read in papers, and there is no detail really as such. But I think from a player's perspective, both myself and Hask are massively supportive of everything that Saracens have done. Now, on the flip side of that, I I think the salary cap is so important to the game moving forward. So I do understand why they got that fine and that points deduction, but then I just feel the other clubs have spat their dummy because they realised that they're still going to stay up. And
Take their punishment.
yeah, they
Sort it out,
took it.
come back stronger.
Yeah.
My conclusion is I don't really care, but because I've been made to care, I have an opinion on it. I don't think the reason Saracens have been so successful has got anything to do with them paying their players or cheating the salary cap. It's got to do with all the other things they put in place. So when teams stop worrying about that, just start looking at themselves first and foremost and work out how they can catch up with that team. I don't think it would be the end of Saracens. And I think it's a good thing they've taken the countdown, gone down with the ship. Please don't contact me about it or message me. I won't reply because I don't give a shit. Thank you.
I've said before, I think the Saracens players are the most impressive collective.
Yeah.
Good people.
Without doubt.
I feel for them.
But we talk about it from your perspective in terms of media and everything.
Yeah.
They're the most accessible.
They give you something. They're polite, interested.
And we do agree
articulate.
that Tony Rowe at Exeter, you are allowed to complain.
Yeah.
And the
You are
Exeter
the
people,
one
allowed-
person who
You're
has
the
a
only
free
fan.
pass to get very cross about this.
Yeah.
And I'm always available to come down for a beer.
Yeah, and I love Exeter too, and I'd like to come down for a bit.
Thank you, fellas. Lots of fun. Are you back next week or are you off to another foreign land?
I don't know.
Back next week.
Side?
Yeah, you are back. Sarge just said back next week. Are you back next week?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, you are. Good stuff. Six Nations preview next week. Let's get back to talking about rugby.
Well, clearly.
We've got a long way to go.
Thank
maybe
you
we should
for-
all try and stay in the country and
I
read
might
some,
actually just- yeah.
read some information on
More
rugby.
Daily Mail Online. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to House of Rugby. We're a YouTube show and a podcast, would you believe? Don't forget Liquid Football with Kelly Cates and the team every Monday in the Facebook group for chat and merchandise. Hello once again and goodbye to the 44 countries who are dialing in this week. Thank you to the fellas. Same time, same place next week when we're going to have a look at the Six Nations. We said we'll have news of a couple of live shows as well. Ooh, that's going to happen during the competition. See you in 7 days. Have a goodie in the meantime. Bye for now.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.